participate in the Governor's Office of Highway Safety traffic safety initiatives, including occupant protection, impaired driving enforcement, speeding, distracted driving, underage drinking, pedestrian and bicycle safety, as well as education programs and community involvement. And whereas the Governor's Office of Highway Safety collects data from the participating agencies in each of the above areas and provides the submissions to a panel of highway safety experts from South Carolina and Tennessee who judge entries and categories by agency size and then specific awards for special enforcement. And whereas Lieutenant David Matson and Sergeant Scott Smith of the Snellville Police Special Operations Unit collected the data from the activity of all officers of the department and prepared its submission. And whereas in the category of agencies with 26 to 50 sworn officers, the Governor's Office of Highway Safety awarded first place to the Snellville Police Department, and in special awards judging all agencies regardless of size, awarded first place to the Snellville Police Department in occupant protection enforcement and distracted driving enforcement. And whereas all participating agencies are scored based on their overall body of work, and the highest scoring agency receives the coveted Governor's Cup. This year, Governor Brian Kemp awarded the Governor's Cup to the Snellville Police Department as the top agency. And now therefore be it proclaimed that Mayor Bender and the City Council of the City of Snellville, where everybody's proud to be somebody, do hereby recognize and applaud the men and women of the Snellville Police Department for their outstanding efforts, knowledge, and professionalism, proclaimed this 14th day of October, 2019. If all of you could come forward, and if Chief or Greg, or if you want to say something, should.
This is the 20th annual event of the Governor's Challenge. I have been here 15 years and have been to 15 of them, and I have never seen this many awards go to one agency in the history. The governor who presented this cup to us, only twice in the history of this event has the governor been there present to present the award. So again, I'm just so proud of each one of these men and women and the ones that can't be here tonight for the work they do every day to keep this community safe.
Actually, Mayor, can we get you to center with Chief in the center, please? See if I can squeeze you all in.
You know, we all know we have the best police department in the state of Georgia, but it's nice to be recognized that the whole state of Georgia knows that we have the best police department in the state of Georgia. But I was laughing, the chief had mentioned this too. In the proclamation we had it worded well, but they won an award on distracted driving. And that was the category, but it's not that our police officers are driving distracted. They catch people that are driving distracted. Next, we have Proclamation 2019-32. Whereas SNAP, the Snellville Neighborhood Alert Program, is a neighborhood watch program that provides a means for neighbors to communicate with each other. And whereas the focus of SNAP members is not only crime prevention, but raising overall neighborhood awareness and sharing information that helps community members. And whereas Bobby Kenton is a member of SNAP and learned through a SNAP advisory that an elderly person had wandered away from a care facility and his whereabouts were unknown. Whereas upon encountering an elderly person who appeared to be lost, Bobby Kenton stopped to help, and in doing so realized he had found the person mentioned in the SNAP advisory. And whereas through the actions of SNAP and Bobby Kenton, a person who might otherwise have suffered life-threatening injury or sickness was safely returned to his care facility. Now therefore be it proclaimed that Mayor Bender and the City Council of the City of Snellville, where everybody's proud to be somebody, recognize and applaud Mr. Bobby Kenton and the Snellville Neighborhood Awareness Program for taking action that helps the community and saves lives. Proclaimed this 14th day of October, 2019. And I would like to say just a quick word on the SNAP program. It was created by Tricia Rollins, one of our citizens here, and it has been a great program pulling neighborhoods together and keeping the public informed by neighborhood when issues are arising in their neighborhoods to make us all more alert and more aware. So we appreciate all of the good work that this community does. So let's honor Mr. Kenton here.
This way?
Next, we'll do the approval of the minutes. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes of the September 23rd, 2019 meetings and the October 7th, 2019 special called work session.
There's a motion to approve the minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. That is 5 in favor. 1 abstain. We have no invited guests under committee and department reports. Mr. Kingsbury, are you doing one for planning?
I will tell you what we did at our last meeting.
Okay.
Although the attorneys can better tell you. At our last meeting last month, we passed ZOA 1904. We recommended a text amendment to Article 13, Administration and Enforcement, and Article 17, Property Maintenance of Snellville Zoning Ordinance to clarify enforcement of these articles. The main thing that did, it clarified who on city staff is responsible for enforcement. Thank you. Any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Kingsbury?
Thank God it's not me. It's the planning director. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kingsbury. And next, we'll have a report for the Evermore Community Improvement District. Mayor Pro Tem Dave Emanuel.
We've got some photos here. I don't know if you've heard about the Amazon distribution center. It's being built down on West Park Place. This photo was taken on July 11th, and they have been really moving along. Okay, the next photo, a little bit dark, is July 29th. Next. August 17th, or August 7th. 9/12, they finally started getting the building up, and that was 9/29. Now take a moment and look. And we can run back through these again, but you'll see down in the lower section of it, they've got the walls built. As well as putting the building up and everything else, they got the walls built because that property drops off. They did a lot of drilling and blasting because there's so much rock there. And if you look over on the left, you'll see they actually have a concrete plant there. So they have just been really moving along. This is another view of the building with Stone Mountain in the background, and then we have one more, which is just an overall panorama shot of the entire area. So that's going to obviously dramatically change what's going on there. But can you run through those again, just show them the speed with which this is all in a 3-month period?
Taken by drone.
Taken by drone. And I didn't want to bring the very first shot that I did because it was all treed. And the whole area was trees, and it really hurts to see it all gone, but that's what you get. But the CID was instrumental in getting that in this area, and I think it's going to really revitalize that whole area because I can't recall the number of jobs, but there'll be a lot of jobs coming to that area, and that'll be a new focal point, and I think the other parts of it will start to come back to life. So that's what the CID is doing. They're also, I don't know if you're aware, but they do the landscaping along Highway 78. So if you don't like the landscaping, call me and I'll speak to them about getting it fixed up. But they're trying to do a good job. It's a bit of a mess because you get so much litter and everything else thrown out there. But they replenish the mulch on a timely basis and try to keep it looking nice. And that's all part of the entryway you get to Snellville if you're coming from the west side. So they are doing some good things, and I think this will be a really, really good asset for the community.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Next, we'll move on to the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to add item B under new business, which will be consideration and action on a resolution to place a 12-month moratorium on the opening of new vape shops.
And are you accepting the rest of the agenda?
Yes, I'm accepting the rest of the agenda.
So there's a motion to approve the agenda with added item B. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, who's going to claim the second?
I'll second the second.
You're third, so we'll take Christie as the second. So all in favor, we've got a motion to approve the agenda, adding item B for a moratorium on vape shops. All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. That is 6 in favor and none opposed. Now we'll move on to our public hearing. We have item A, first reading ZOA 19-04, which you just heard a report from Mr. Kingsbury. Consideration and recommendation on a text amendment to Article 13, Administration and Enforcement, and Article 17, Property Maintenance of the Snellville Zoning Ordinance to clarify enforcement of these articles. This is just a first reading. We take no action tonight other than waiving it onto our next meeting on October 28th. Is there a motion?
Motion to waive ZOA 19-04 as read by the mayor, and to place it on the agenda for October 28th for a second reading and public hearing.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, please raise your right hand. That is 6 in favor and none opposed. We have nothing under our consent agenda and no old business. We have new business, item A, consideration and action on the Town Center Public Relations contract with Intrepid Marketing Group and authorization for the mayor to execute the contract. Is there a motion?
Motion to postpone the agreement and put it on the agenda for the October 28th meeting.
There's a motion to postpone to October 28th. Is there a second?
Second.
And a second. All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. That is 6 in favor and none opposed. This What this is, with the new town center, the Grove, part of our agreement with the developer is that we will share the cost of a public relations company who will essentially, it'll be about a 14-month contract till December 2020, just to help put together the promotional materials for the downtown, for, other real estate developers, potential tenants, the citizens, and to help with the awareness campaign and build the momentum on the project. So we knew about Intrepid Marketing was going to be the group, and we do have a contract, but it's just a little bit vague, and we just want to make sure that we've got the parameters set right before we approve anything. So we'll take care of that on October the 28th. Next, we have item B, moratorium on vape shops. Is there a motion?
Yes, motion to approve a 12-month moratorium on the opening of any new vape shops in the city.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Who was that, Dave? There's a motion and a second. Does anyone like to say anything about it before we vote?
This is something that is of particular interest to me because as I have been reading, and all of you I'm sure have been reading, every day practically in the newspaper there's more concern expressed for e-cigarettes and vaping and the illnesses and the deaths that have been caused. And what this resolution that we're looking at passing does is prohibit the opening of any new vape shops for the next 12 months. This will give us time to see what, if anything, is going to be done perhaps by the state legislature or by the federal government. And then after 12 months, we can determine where we go at that point. I do want to point out that a vape shop is defined as a business where 25% of the business's retail sales or more than 25% of the floor area of a business building is devoted to the sale or advertisement for sale of vape or vape-related products. So this will not allow vape shops. I do want to point out it does not regulate places like QT, Racetrack, other places like that sell many other items in addition to vape products. We're specifically looking at vape shops.
Thank you. Okay, so we have a motion and a second for a 12-month moratorium. All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. That is 6 in favor and none opposed. That ends the business portion of our meeting, so we'll move into our council reports. Councilmember Todd Warner.
Good evening, everybody, and thanks for showing up. And if Erica could put up my picture on, I brought a picture. I brought a bunch of pictures, but I'm only going to make y'all sit through one. On October 4th, Friday night, I was out to dinner at Main Street with my father, as we often do, and we were leaving around 8 o'clock at night. And this truck had been out there for the whole time we were in the restaurant, and there was a DOT worker that was trying to shovel up probably a ton of asphalt that had spilled out into the middle of the roadway. And when we arrived, the DOT worker was sitting there shoveling it into buckets and putting it in the back of the truck or just shoveling it directly in. And when we left over an hour later, you can see by the photo, one of our officers, Igor Bondurant, I'm sure I massacred his name, realized the worker was running out of gas, because anybody who's ever tried to shovel anything knows that doing a ton of asphalt probably is not an easy job. So they changed roles, and our officer was out there cleaning up the streets, so to speak. And that says a lot about who we have on our police department. I mean, you can't get much more lauded than the Governor's Cup, but I just wanted to make sure everybody knows that our officers go above and beyond. He was not only protecting the worker by being out there with his car, but he was actually helping him take care of the problem. And it's commitment like that we should all mirror in our lives. We can take that down. Also, this last week, I had the opportunity to go to Gwinnett Technical College for their 35th anniversary President's Report. It was an extremely amazing presentation. If you haven't met Dr. Cannon, he was here, 2 months ago for a Commerce Club, and his speech was even better at his 35th. I guess he polished it by working on us 2 months ago. But the programs that they have there are amazing, and they actually, you can get your GED, and while you're working on your GED, actually be doing college work at the same time. And if you are a little bit behind, and for those of us who went to college a long time ago and had to take a couple of remedial courses before you got into real college, they don't do that. They don't do that at all. What they do is they put you in the 100 level course and make sure you get tutoring to get you up to speed and get you through that college level course, rather than making you sit in the back and finish up high school work. So they're doing a lot of really innovative things there. 99% of their graduates have jobs by the time they graduate, and 86% of those are in the fields that they're there for study. So that's an amazing amount. Their numbers would actually be better, but many of their students are being hired before they ever graduate, because the product that they're turning out, the education that these people are getting, is so good that employers want them before they even finish the program. So if you know of anybody who's thinking about going to college, tell them maybe they ought to look at Gwinnett Tech. Maybe they ought to look at a technical school, because many of those students are coming out making a whole lot more than the graduates we have coming out of some of our traditional four-year colleges. And they come out with zero debt. Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you, Mr. Warner. Mr. Marmol?
No report.
Councilmember Linsky?
Early voting started today, and it will continue on through November 1st here at City Hall, 8:30 to 4:30. Be sure and come out, and also please tell your friends and neighbors to come out and vote. We have 2 council posts that are currently open, contested, post 1 and post 2, and of course our mayor is uncontested, as wonderful as she is. Our fall festival, of course, is Saturday from 12 to 6. That's going to be an excellent time. And thankfully, we also have some nice fall weather in store for the weekend. So we hope to see you there.
Thank you. Councilmember Schultz?
Yes, I want to remind everybody that we're now in our extended season for the Snellville Farmers Market, which means that we have a market on the first Saturday morning of each month. We had one last Saturday for October. Our next one will be the first Saturday in November. It's from 9 to 12 in the parking lot right out here. And we've had a phenomenal response from our Snellville Farmers Market vendors. We have twice as many vendors taking part in our extended season this year as we had last year. We have about 25. So you get a nice variety of products offered at the extended season market. So I hope to see y'all at the first Saturday in November. I want to express our sympathies to Kelly McAloon and her family. She lost her mother a week ago, And as you all know, Kelly does so much for Snellville, and so many of the events that we have in Snellville wouldn't be happening without Kelly. And to follow up to Councilwoman Lenski's reminder that the Snellville Fall Festival is Saturday. I know Kelly has not had the time to try to get volunteers organized for this fall festival this year like she normally would have. So I know she'd appreciate any and all volunteers that can help her this year.
Thank you, Ms. Schultz. Mayor Pro Tem Emanuel?
Hooking on to what Todd said, I hope you're all aware that we actually have Gwinnett Tech giving courses here at City Hall. So we've been trying for quite some time to get some post-secondary educational opportunities here, and Gwinnett Tech is here, and our digital badge program will fold in nicely with that, giving local area people an opportunity to get some education without having to go too far. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that. We're in talks with some other colleges to try to bring some other courses here. On a not so happy note, Master Sergeant Mark Allen, you may have seen some information on Facebook, passed away. He was 46 years old. He was shot while on duty in Afghanistan, and he was one of the people who had gone out in search of Bergdahl, I don't remember his first name, a guy who deserted. And he was shot, survived for some time, and unfortunately passed away on October 12th. The funeral is at Snellville First Baptist Church, and then the procession is going to go to Loganville. And Ray Martinez, mayor of Loganville, called me this afternoon and asked if we could get as many people out along the route waving red flags as the procession went by, leaving First Baptist Church heading for Loganville. So the service is at 11 o'clock in the morning. They expect the procession to leave about noon. So if you're so inclined or know anybody else who might want to go out and stand along Highway 78 and wave a flag as the procession goes by, I'm sure the family would appreciate that.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I just have a few quick items. On October the 7th, the mayor and the council and planning department and others sat down and went through our draft, or a draft, of our UDO, which is our Uniform Development Ordinances. Almost said code. That's not a no. But if anybody wants to know what city council members do for fun on Monday nights, that's what we did. We were there for almost 2.5 hours. It was just a crazy fun meeting. We talked about all sorts of things like parking regulations. Imagine that if you were at the work session. But this is where the rubber meets the road when you're on the city council. It is these things that are not glamorous, but our regulations, our development regulations for building codes and things like that have not been updated since the early 80s, and the times have changed. So it was time that we've taken this step. I think we're about 2 years in on this project, I think, and hoping for approval sometime in January or February. But that, once they clean up a few policy issues that we discussed that Monday night, then there will be a draft put up on the city's website. So if anybody needs something good to read before you go to sleep, bookmark that on our city webpage. But if you do have some issues or concerns, we're addressing a lot of things in that ordinance. You can talk to one of your council members or just give us an email. On October the 9th, I was honored to be able to be on the panel with 3 other mayors presenting to the Gwinnett Senior Leadership Program. They had Government Day last week, and they held it at the Lawrenceville Police Department in their training room. And it was a lot of fun. I don't know what age the senior group kicks off at. But very engaged crowd, asked a lot of questions, but it gave me an opportunity to let some more people around Gwinnett know what we're doing here in Snellville, so it was a lot of fun. And also my condolences to Kelly McAloon and her family on the loss of her mother. If you all will keep them in your prayers, we would appreciate it. With that, I will close the mayor's report and open the floor to public comments. If anyone would like to come up and speak, just step up to the podium and give your name and address for the record.
Kurt Schultz, 2027 Tanglewood Drive. I think something very important was missed from the old business tonight. I just wanted to add it to it if possible. Happy birthday tomorrow, Gretchen. I know I'm in trouble.
Oh, I like the way he put that in old business. I think you should clobber him when you get home.
I know I'm in trouble, but I forgot to order her cake today, too.
It was nice knowing you, Kurt.
Kurt, we have a spare bedroom.
Chief, you may want to let people know there may be a domestic at 2027 Tanglewood Drive tonight. Anyone else? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second?
Motion and a second, all in favor? That's 6, we're out. Thank you all for coming out tonight.